People are always asking me,
what is that?
And that's a fair question. This Onewheel is one of the most fun and one of the best purchases I've made, and I'm about to tell you why I think you should probably get one too. Let's rewind to July 14th, 2015. OG YouTuber Casey Neistat had just uploaded this video where he gets the original production Onewheel. This was in the time when those Segway hoverboard things were absolutely taking over the internet, and seeing the Onewheel for the first time, I wasn't sure what to think. Was it motorized? How did it work? And is it fast? As I saw other creators like Peter McKinnon and Matty Hapoya getting their hands on these over time, I started to fall in love, and I really seriously wanted one of these in high school. About a year ago, I moved out on my own, and with a newfound sense of freedom and a little bit of cash in my savings, I decided to pull the trigger. With about 12 months of experience and 550 miles under my belt, this is my 1-year Onewheel review. And when I say I pulled the trigger, it really felt like I was firing this bullet that I could never take back. The base price for the XR model is $17.99, and you may hear that and go, that is absolutely insane. Why would anybody ever spend $1,800 on this toy? And you're absolutely right. I had instant buyer's remorse. I was questioning, is this worth it? Did I just make a huge mistake? But let's put it into a little bit of perspective. Did you know that millennials on average spend $2,008 annually on coffee? Now, I don't even drink that stuff. I mean, I do occasionally have an energy drink from time to time, but I figure I can go without those due to the natural adrenaline that I get from riding this board. And it is adrenaline, okay? The advertised top speed is 19 miles per hour, although I've hit 22 going downhill on a trail, and especially on just the singular wheel, that feels insane. It takes between an hour and a half to 2 hours to charge, and the advertised range is between 12 to 18 miles. And of course, it's totally dependent on rider weight and tire pressure, elevation, terrain, and speed. You get the idea. What I usually tell people when they ask me about range is that it's never failed me in a practical use case, and it's also never died and left me stranded on the trails. And that's great to hear, but everyone's needs are a little bit different and it's not very scientific, so I decided to put my board to the test. I went out on a country road to ride it straight until I was clean out of juice. Unfortunately, my tire had a different idea, and before I could get very far, it decided it just could not hold me anymore. This wasn't a sudden thing. Over the course of a year, I suppose you might wear down a slick tire like this one, and over the past few days before the test, I had been riding it and it went flat, but I thought I could air it up and ride on it for the test. In fact, I actually measured the tire pressure before with the intention that I could check after my ride, but after just a mile and a half, that test was sadly canceled. I did take a brief look online at some other people's testing. This channel reported a solid 18 miles on mostly flat paved trails, but this guy under 200 pounds showed only 11 miles before it couldn't go on. That's kind of strange, but I think it has a little bit to do with the age of your board. I'm sure the battery wears down over time. And like I said, I've never really had it personally disappoint me, and only a few times have I ever really worried about running out of battery before I get where I'm headed. I'll probably try to test it again in the future, but as for this time, I had to call a ride for help. Thanks, Scott. And speaking of this guy, I wanted to get his opinion as a new rider because you've actually stepped on the Onewheel a few times yourself. What did you think of getting on it for the first time? How'd you handle it?
It was not easy for me. It took a little bit of explaining from Alan of like, what side do you step on first? Well, I thought I could just jump on it, and he's like, yeah, whoa, that's not how you do it. But it was way more challenging than I thought. So
I don't know. I mean, I got on it the second time and I could ride it, so
yeah. But I don't.
Did you skateboard or anything?
No, I was gonna say every time I
feel like that might
have
have helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because every time I like lock my feet in on a sport like skateboarding or even wakeboarding, I've tried stuff like that, and I'm horrible. Like rollerblading, where I can kind of be flowy with each leg, I'm okay. But You lock my feet in, I guess I'm worthless. In fact, after we shot the intro, I carried it downstairs, but then I carried it right back upstairs because I was curious how heavy this Onewheel is, because it's way heavier than I thought. No wonder why Alan has such big biceps, because that thing weighs 28 pounds.
Yeah, it's got some heft. In fact, when I like take it to the grocery store, which I say is like so practical, and it is, but like I'm walking around with this thing in one arm with my basket in the other. It's not light.
It is not light, but at the same time, like most of the time you're gonna be riding it, and quick, portable, carrying handle, it's not the end of the world. So one thing for me is total cost of ownership, obviously replacing a tire, and there's gonna be other grip tape and different things you have to replace. Like after 1 year, how much do you think this product has cost you?
Well, so what I will say is I broke the fender. Just being stupid, it didn't actually break while I was riding it. I was like, hey, look how tough this is, and it snapped. If you think it's gonna break riding, it probably won't. I literally had to drop it to get it to break. I think that was about $70 to replace straight from Onewheel, and there's others that might be a little bit cheaper if you want to go third party, whatever. And then, of course, my tire, I need to replace that, and I've been wanting to get a treaded one, so I did order one from Craft and Ride, and that was $89.99, so not too terribly. I did wonder, with my mileage and the time I've had it, if that tire wear is normal, or if maybe mine's lasted longer, shorter than other people. So that's something to consider.
And I will say, Alan is very hard on all his equipment. Whatever he has, he's rough on it. He uses it. He abuses it. But the thing is, like,
I love it.
He uses it,
yeah,
which is awesome. But then you start factoring in, okay, well, how many times didn't you drive? Because I even saw Alan ride to the gym in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
So not like running barefoot. A car, usually barefoot without a coat. But I mean, you're saving gas mileage. So at some point, it's total cost of ownership, but you're also saving money in other places.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an end-all, be-all, like, oh, you're never driving and you're going to save so much gas money. But basically anywhere in town, it's not even that I'm trying to save gas money. It's just so fun, and it's such a great way to spice up and make a normal day exciting that I'll just ride there, and it probably adds up over time. I think the biggest negative you'll find here is that this at least feels like the most dangerous rideable that you can buy. This is, of course, because of nosediving. It's obvious, but there's only one wheel on this thing, one wheel, and the motor in that one wheel is working really hard to keep you upright. However, stupid amounts of speed or leaning too far forward will cause you to fall off and eat dirt or even worse, pavement. Don't let that scare you though. I've looked into it and there aren't many that have been like seriously injured, and as long as you're being smart and you're wearing a helmet, you should be totally fine. One thing I do like though is that the board does try to warn you of this before just kicking you in the form of pushback. It basically just pushes back on your foot, kind of pushes it up, letting you know that, hey, you need to ease up or problems could come very soon. Also, can I just say a huge thank you that when the battery runs out, the back foot slowly lowers and brings you to a stop instead of just turning off completely and kicking you off like a freaking bucking bronco. Another great thing about the Onewheel is that you don't need to use some handheld remote to control the board. You just step on it, lean, and go. And I think that makes it not only much safer because you've got both hands free to brace yourself if you should fall, but it also makes it really utilitarian, and you can use both hands to hold something while you're riding, for example. I used to have an electric skateboard that had a remote, and it was such a pain in the butt. Besides, I feel much more connected to the board using the foot pad sensors anyway. Speaking of connecting to the board, they have a great mobile app that you can use to switch between various different riding modes, including a customizable one, which lets you dictate exactly how the board feels under your feet. In the app, you can also turn on your headlights and taillights, which switch directions based on how you're leaning. You can see tons of diagnostics on your board, record your rides, and they even have cool challenges you can do and badges to unlock, as well as video tutorials for brand new riders. And that's great because because my nephew literally has a Onewheel XR in the mail right now, and those can get him started before his uncle can take him out for a proper shred. One thing I haven't dove into yet, but I'm hoping to soon, is the customization with these boards. When you order yours, Onewheel already provides some awesome color options with different fenders and bumpers and guardrails and things, but there's also third-party companies like Craft and Ride that sell magnetic fenders and treaded tires, new foot pads, rail guards, and much more. You can really make your board your own, and here pretty soon I hope to get mine just the way I want it. In fact, my whole family seems to be jumping on the wagon. This morning they were sending over their would-be XR designs. They were looking at them online, and I think that's awesome. Who knows, maybe here pretty soon we'll all be riding together. I think the future is pretty bright for Onewheel. They've gained popularity over the last couple years. I've certainly seen them more and more, even a few other ones in my hometown of like 9,000.
Even I had some fun on it, even though I'm not like efficient on it and not good enough to commute on it yet, but just fun to ride.
Think you'll get one?
Maybe.
Are you gonna finally get one? If you do, we've got the XR linked in the description below. Now, we're not affiliated with them, but who knows, maybe in the future. And they've also got a pint, which is half the price and half the range, maybe half the fun. We'll have to find out. Maybe we can do a review in the future. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. Till next time, see ya.